Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the AMA session with Startup India. First of all, before I start today's session, very happy 8 years to Startup India. We have been doing a lot of sessions over the past 1 week, and we're celebrating 8 years of the initiative of the government, which is Startup India, which is culminating on 16th of January, which is on Tuesday. And today we're celebrating all of these this entire week with various stakeholders from the Indian startup ecosystem. And today we are celebrating one very special stakeholder, which is Indian unicorns. And Indian unicorns, which have been helping scale up Indian startup ecosystem and also giving global voice to Indian startup ecosystem as well. And today we have with us Mr. Nipun Jain. I will quickly introduce Mr. Nipun here. He's currently working as an associate director at Razorpay, and he's leading and building Razorpay Rise, which is India's most loved early stage startup accelerator, a specific program by Razorpay. This accelerator program provides support to aspiring startups and new startups through various modes such as mentorship, networking, and funding opportunities. Nipun has previously also worked with Picker Technologies as an assistant vice president and also ran his own startup, which is Natty Ninos, for more than 7 years from 2013 to 2021. So, of course, with the experience of building a new program in a unicorn, he also has a wealth of knowledge in terms of building his own startup. And the aim of today's session is to understand more about his journey, to understand more about Razorpay Rise as well, because we do have a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs who are looking at this session. So, for them to understand what benefits they can get from unicorns and from this specific program as well. So, Nipun, first of all, welcome to the AMA session on scaling successful startups. Um, and I will start with my first question without further ado, and which is essentially, of course, we know that Razorpay has become extremely large over the past 6 years and gotten the status of a unicorn extremely soon. And now it's very heartening to see that you're all working towards helping new founders, yourself, and helping them build their own businesses, which is extremely encouraging for everyone who's watching today as well. Just wanted to understand what motivated the founders, Shashank and Harshal, to start Razorpay Rise program. What was the inspiration behind it, and what is the backstory from all of this?
Yes. Yes. Hi, Neha, and the entire Startup India team. First of all, thank you so much for calling us to join this session. I think it is privilege for all of us at Razorpay Rise team to join this session and help you answer each and every query or each and every possible query around Razorpay Rise program. That what are we trying to do with Razorpay Rise, and what is our core objective behind running a program like this. So just to answer your first question, I think of course this is something what a lot of people ask us very often, that why Razorpay being a unicorn, why Razorpay being already a successful company is investing so much on a program like Razorpay Rise. So I think the core uh, I think the focus area and the agenda and the vision of our founders has always been that success of Razorpay actually lies in the success of startups that we will empower. And that is a core idea of Razorpay Rise program, that Razorpay has been there, our founders have been there. Any founder starts small. They understand the struggle of early stage startup building, the loneliness of running a startup, and all the challenges which a startup founder faces in their initial days. And I think that is what triggered both the founders, that okay, why don't we give it back to the ecosystem? Why don't we enable the next set of brightest minds, the most successful and the aspirational early stage startup founders, and Razorpay become integral part of their success story, while helping them grow, while helping them collaborate, while helping them network, while providing the right mentorship opportunities, while solving a list of pain points what a startup actually faces in their initial days. And we actually work on a simple funda that okay, just let's figure out a pain point what a startup has, and let's try to create a product or a process or a content piece or a knowledge session how we can actually solve that for an early age startup founder. So just to answer it again, I think the idea was very clear from the founders end, that we have been there, we have seen these struggles. Why don't we give it back to the ecosystem? If we'll give it back as a responsible unicorn, we all will be part of the larger success of the ecosystem. So this is, I think, why they started with Razorpay Rise.
Got it. Thanks a lot, Nipun. And in fact, that is something that's a way in which we as government also see unicorns contributing to the larger ecosystem to help more budding entrepreneurs and to sort of help them navigate the paths that they've already, crossed. And from that only, what I would want to also understand from you is what are you talked about a lot of challenges that aspiring entrepreneurs face when they're starting their journey. So just want to understand from you, one, what are the challenges that Razorpay Rise is solving? What are the challenges that you think these startups are facing? And of course, you can take from your own journey as an entrepreneur as well, in terms of what are the challenges that you faced and how a program like Razorpay Rise is solving those.
Sure. I think when Razorpay Rise started in 2021, the idea originated in 2021. It took us few months, of course, to launch it finally. And during that time, I think the core idea was talking to startup founders, doing the right research, and understanding what actually an early stage startup founder is actually looking for. Like, what are their core pain points? Where all are the areas where they are actually stuck in their current journey? So we actually listed, and we could create a list of possible 7 to 8 possible areas of work, which we actually picked as our core strategy of work while building Razorpay Rise. So just to list few of them, I think what we realized that company incorporation, taxation, compliance in the initial days is one of the biggest pain point for any startup founder. Then we realized, of course, the fundraising part, the readiness to raise funds, and also how to raise funds and from where to raise funds, and finding the right information was the second biggest challenge around fundraising. And when I say fundraising was for both, be it a VC fundraising in through equity, or be it all the grants which, for example, Startup India also provides, and a lot of state level government agencies also provides. So there were a lot of information in the ecosystem, but probably not at a single place. And then once they had that information, probably how to prepare them to raise funds, and then what are the right mentors, or sorry, right VCs, or right schemes they can possibly raise funds from. That was the second biggest challenge, I think, for all the early stage startup founders. Then I think we realized also that, okay, hiring is also one of the key pain problem for any early stage startup founder, considering one, they generally try to go very lean initially. They don't know who to hire and from where to hire. Then they struggle a lot on the challenge where they don't have too much to provide in terms of remuneration and benefits, because an early stage startup generally doesn't have enough revenues to support, I think, high remunerated employees. So that in itself becomes a huge challenge for any startup founder, that, okay, how to find the right people in the initial days. Then, as I told you, the information part is much more bigger than what I've just elaborated in point number one. I think they want how they can actually avail a lot of knowledge on basics. When I say basics, it is about scaling. It is about how to go out in the market and market their product in the right way. How to possibly use social media in the best capacity in case you are building something in B2C. If you are building in B2B, then how to probably leverage partnership in the best way. So these were some of the core topics when we started listing it down, that, okay, they need knowledge on this. So that became another core area where we really wanted to work on. And I think one more area where we spotted some major issues were around one-on-one mentorship. So startups really are in lookout to actually talk to the right mentors. And when I say mentors, these are people who talk to them unconditionally. So you will find a lot of fancy mentors these days in the market who generally say that, okay, I will mentor you, but I will need something in exchange. But can we provide mentorship in a way where it is unconditional? You tell a problem statement, and I will align the right mentor with you, and that person will guide you end to end on your current problem statement and all the challenges you are facing. And that person might try to help the early stage startup founder with their own experience. So these were some of the core pain points what we realized in our first year of journey, that, okay, early stage startup founders are in lookout for these helps. And if we try to solve them through Razorpay Rise program, and run it as an independent entity within Razorpay without having any direct direct goals around selling Razorpay to them. Trust me, till date, we never talk about Razorpay in any of our initiative. Our idea is very, very clear that let's build the right place for these early stage startup founders. And once they grow, once we become the part of their enablement journey, Razorpay will automatically grow because we are all part of one ecosystem. So we are not required to actually sell Razorpay anywhere. So that is the answer to your second question, I think.
Got it. Thanks, Nipun. In fact, I think from what I understand and from everything that you've told us, you are solving in Razorpay Rise almost everything that a startup faces in the first few years of the journey, from incorporation to fundraising to, as you mentioned, one of the most important things, which is mentorship and understanding and navigating the ecosystem, which is something that a lot of startups and founders have a problem with. So
Yes.
wonderful work with that. And as you mentioned, which is again a great thing that you're not really selling razor pay per se during this entire journey. But
Yes.
one question which I also had was because Razorpay, of course, in its core is a more fintech platform based SaaS company. Is
Yes.
there are those the kind of startups that you are onboarding in Razorpay, or is it sector agnostic? And do you have a specific entry criteria for Razorpay Rise, or eligibility criteria essentially, or you're open to aspiring entrepreneurs, and growth stage startups? So more about that as well, so that the right audience can find you as well.
Of course, of course, of course. I think just to answer this question, I'll just take a pushback while making people and the entire team understand that what all are we trying to do under Razorpay Rise. So there are some programs which are open for everyone. For example, we are trying to solve company incorporation as a service for anyone in the ecosystem. So anyone can actually come on Razorpay Rise website, apply, and we will handle the rest of the process in the most streamlined way. So that is something which is open for all. We have created a lot of tools, we have created a lot of content. We have recently launched our Substack page. Again, that is a content, that is a knowledge repository which is available for anyone in the ecosystem. And just like this, we have created a lot of different initiatives which are targeted for the larger ecosystem, and that includes our Rise for YC initiative as well, where we help anyone in the country who apply for Y Combinator getting into Y Combinator with a one-on-one application review, with a one-on-one like a mentorship session on how to crack the YC interview, and every possible step where a startup might need help in terms of applying to in terms of applying to Y Combinator. So these are our ecosystem initiatives, and of course we are planning a lot more in coming days. And where it comes to Razorpay Rise as a community, which we call as Razorpay Rise program. So for this, a startup has to actually apply. We have a stringent selection criteria for this. And just as you mentioned, and just to reiterate that part, that we are, of course, one, we are sector agnostic. People may have that perception that, okay, Razorpay will end up investing in, or rather invest its time in companies who are directly in relation with what Razorpay is trying to do. But no, that is not the idea. We are 100% sector agnostic. The only few criterias are that, of course, we would want to work with companies who have a tech first focus. That is our first criteria. We want to actually work with companies who have full time founders, who are clear that, okay, why are they building, what are they building, and they are 100% dedicated for that. Third would be, I think, we specifically, I think, want to focus on a niche of entrepreneurs who are actually in their early stage. So because idea is to create an ecosystem within this community where everyone is on the same thought process and on the same level of journey. So that's why we generally prefer that, okay, anyone who is in their early stage, of course the stage may differ, pre-seed, seed, post-seed, but our target generally is towards people who have just started, or who already have an MVP in place, or who have just raised their initial funds. Probably someone who is bigger than 10 million or 20 million might not be the right fit. But yes, of course, there are exceptions always. So these are few criterias. What are we trying to target in terms of getting people into Razorpay Rise program? And today, I think organically, without even a single paid campaign, we get about 200 applications from across India for our Razorpay Rise program. And of course, the selected few make it to the final community, and that is how the community is placed. So two things: one is ecosystem initiatives which are available for everyone, and one is a very exclusive niche community of 650 plus early stage startup founders. We already have and for everyone's visibility, We already have 650 plus early stage startup founders within our community who are already a part of our community and availing all the benefits under Razorpay Rise program. So broadly, these two things are what we are trying to target. And I think I have answered your question. If anything else, I would love to add on to it.
Yes, I think you have answered my question, and it's a great sort of model to build it as well. That you have a larger community and you have a more filtered community as well, depending on what the startups look like.
Yes.
And from community, what I would like to, in fact, ask you also is you, as you mentioned, the importance of mentorship as well, and
Yes.
as you also mentioned that there are a lot of mentors per se in the ecosystem right
Yes.
now, and who claim to have a lot of expertise, but there's a lot of quid pro quo when it comes to giving that mentorship to startups. Just wanted
Yes.
to understand how Razorpay Rise is also contributing to creating specific communities of not just mentors, in fact, whether it's investors, because you also talked about fundraising a little bit, whether
Yes.
these are maybe startups also we can run from each other, learn from each other, and also because from what we also understand at Startup India, I think the power of community and the power of
Yes.
understanding and learning from people like you and their own struggles, and of course you being an entrepreneur yourself also would understand that is something that no tool and nothing else can sort of beat.
100%.
So how is Razorpay Rise? One, I want you to talk about the importance of the community as well, and how
Okay.
Razorpay Rise is also maybe through Razorpay's community or through the ecosystem, how you're own building your own community for Razorpay Rise to help these startups, and also what are the incentives which are being given to whether it's an investor, whether it's a mentor, to be a part of this community as well.
Okay, interesting. I think there are a lot of questions within this
Yes.
question. I'll try to cover up as much as possible. Okay, so okay, just to probably start the answer. Uh, okay, one, we were very clear we want to build a community which is 100% fostering people who are in lookout for a similar problem statement. That idea actually translated with a thought process that okay, let's only build a community where the only audience would be the early stage startup founders. We'll not have any additional enablers. We'll not have any people who can create a possible spam, and we'll also make sure that there is no direct conversations around unnecessary cross selling or upselling any Razorpay product within the community. And trust me, it is not an easy task while running it under the umbrella of Razorpay. And that was the biggest challenge, where how we started this community with. And today, I think successfully and very happily, we are able to sustain a community of more than 600 people. And that community in itself is now at that position where people seek help there, people give help there, and for almost each and every question asked in the community, we have at least 5 to 7 people who are there to answer that problem statement. So that's such a beautiful space full of like-minded people, people who are ambitious, people who are aspiring to become big, people who have already raised funds. Like every week we have an announcement, for example, people within the community who have recently raised funds, people who have recently got featured in one of the great magazine or an article or a newspaper edition or even a TV interview. So that community is full of people who put all the positive informations there, that okay, I have raised funds, I have this query, I am buying this product, would you have any feedbacks for it? And it is a neutral community in that way. Even let's say if someone asks there what is the best current account to use, I never ever say that okay, you use by default Razorpay X, though I know it is the best in the market. But I will always have a neutral opinion that okay, you have these options: IDBI, SBI, or ICICI, and you can choose within these three. And if you want to talk to someone from Razorpay X, I can always connect. So that is how we want to keep our approach as, and that's why the community is actually very much engaging. Trust me, we have a 50%, close to 50% engagement rate within our community, which is a very high in terms of how generally community behaves. So that is the reason why we are able to do it, because we were very clear how we want to run this community as, and and we wanted to keep things very very simple. And just this is one of your answer how we are leveraging community to actually help these selected startup founders. And yes, community becomes our medium to announce our knowledge sessions. Community becomes our medium to announce our networking sessions, which are offline as well as online. Community becomes our medium for almost all kind of announcements what we are up to within Razorpay Rise. And this community is also supported by a very high tech product driven dashboard. Any member who becomes a part of our community is also given an access to a dashboard where they can actually connect to any other fellow founder within a set of a click. They can actually use all the deals and benefits and credits under Razorpay Rise program. And just to add on here, we have partnered with more than 45 plus top service providers in the country who actually provide free access, free deals, free credits to all our Razorpay Rise founders. So that dashboard becomes that one point place for any founder to go, connect with any fellow founder, use and avail deals, connect with other founders in terms of the help they might have to offer to them, because everything is detailed there. And then a one very recent amazing launch we have recently launched is Razorpay Rise Marketplace. So what we have done is any fellow founder can actually list their product, and other founders can actually become their first 10, 20, 50 customers. And that's such a beautiful way to make them feel that okay, it is for Rise, by Rise, and of Rise, that you build something. Other fellow founders tell them that what you are building, provide them some additional discounts, and why don't you find your first 50 customers within the Rise community. So that is a power of community, power of networking, and how this place is gradually becoming a place which is full of achievements, full of success stories, and people who are helping each other for every possible thing during their journey. And just to answer the second part of it, the mentorship, I am assuming that ideally we should cover in this question only. So okay, you asked me a very important question, I think, in the start, that how would you convince someone to become a mentor without having any interest. So again, I think this is a thought process which is coming from top down from our leadership actually. So they actually made it very clear that we will be doing a lot of things unconditionally, and it's okay. So trust me, from close to 35 40 mentors on our current panel, we have almost all the top leaders from Razorpay Rise team who have actually allocated their time just for our initiative. And any founder within Razorpay Rise community can even book Shashank and Harshal calendar directly if they want to talk about a specific topic. So that today that office hours is full of CXOs, all the top leaders, functional departmental heads, and we have actually created a set of mentors in a way that okay, if you need marketing help, there is a mentor. If you need sales related help, there is a mentor. If you need strategy, there is a mentor. If you need finance help, there is a mentor, and at least 10 more different functions like that. So we don't even have to say it to anyone that okay, why you should do it. The belief within the Razorpay and Razorpay Rise team is so strong already that I think if I'll directly reach out to Shashank tomorrow that okay, Shashank, I need this help for Razorpay Rise, he will not even ask me a question, because that is so by default is a part of our culture and values, that okay, we need to help the startups, and then we'll do whatever it requires us to do that. So that's why we don't even have to do anything while onboarding a mentor to our current office hours thing. Razorpay Rise leadership in themselves are very clear, and they all want to really help the larger startup ecosystem. I think if I've answered
Thanks.
the question fully, I
Yes,
don't know if I missed anything.
yes, I think I've answered my multiple questions, all of them together. So thanks a lot for that. And it's extremely heartening again to see that the entire community and your entire Razorpay team is so committed to building the growth and
Yes.
contributing to the growth of the aspiring entrepreneurs as well. So that's great to know.
Yes.
And in fact, my next question is from that lens as well. That what are the so of course, Razorpay Rise in itself is a community. It's an accelerator. It's an incubator for startups who are just. You said your focus is on early stage startups. What I also want to understand is what are the goals of Razorpay Rise or the community that comes out of it after 1 years, 2 years, because at the end of it, at the end of that particular time, assuming and hoping you will have a community of, you're saying 600. From that, I can assume it will be 100 to 200 startups with very high potential that will be, at as a part of your community. So, do you have any plans on how you can scale them up further, how you can utilize their knowledge to new startups, or how you overall want to build this initiative?
Okay, I think it's a perfect question. I think, and it sounds like a question coming from my leadership to me, that okay, how you want to actually take Razorpay Rise to the next level now, because we have already spent a year while building it to a level where we have started feeling that confidence that okay, we are doing something right. So definitely see, as we'll grow, we are very much aware that number of startups within Razorpay Rise community will grow, and number of those startups will also have a significant portion who have already raised funds or probably have reached to the next level. So we are pretty much aware about that, and I think we have recently started thinking on those lines as well, because in the previous 1 year we were just building Razorpay Rise and we were doing a lot of experiments. So definitely in the next stage of journey, we are planning for some programs which are exclusively probably they will be targeted for high growth startups who have already raised their initial seed money or post seed money, who are towards their next level of journey. And what we have realized is that there are different personas within the community. Once a startup actually raise their initial funds, their persona completely changes and their problem statement also completely changes. So how we have derived our initiatives for future is by dividing everyone in different personas. So if I know someone has already raised funds and crossed a certain stage, then their problem statements will also change, and then just the same process will start with where I started my first answer, that we have listed those pain points for the next set of journey, and we have started building products for that, or probably initiatives for that, or content and knowledge sessions for that. So idea is very clear. Let's divide everyone gradually in different cohorts, and then run targeted programs, because everyone will have a different pain point to solve, and then we will define the personas and act accordingly. So that is a brief answer to your question. And of course, apart from that, there are a lot of problem statements which we have also realized while running this entire initiative, which we feel probably are not even solved fully yet. So there are a lot of opportunities around current problem statements as well. For example, how we can further strengthen the process around hiring. I think hiring is still a pain point for almost all the startup founders who are there in our community. Though we have very beautifully scaled our incorporation as a service product, but we really want to make it a lot more streamlined and a lot more seamless for any startup founder. How can we create a process? Let's say we can guarantee them that okay, within 7 days your company will be incorporated if you will register with Razorpay Rise. So we are doing a lot of those brainstorming sessions. We are doing a lot of discussions within Razorpay Rise, that how to bucket the problem statements into two parts. One, the problem statement which exists already, but probably there is a lot more to do. And then which are some of the pain points which we have not solved yet, and how to build future initiatives based on those pain points. So that is how we are trying to work on that. I probably cannot share a few of the initiatives which are in the pipeline because they are not yet launched officially. But this is how we work basically in our meeting rooms and in our brainstorming rooms, that everything revolves around founder. We list down what do they need. We keep on asking them questions. We do a lot of surveys. We do a lot of one-on-ones within our community from people who have raised funds. For example, that okay, you have now raised funds. What are some of the things what you want from Razorpay Rise in the next 6 months? And then we note down these feedback and then immediately create processes and create initiatives. So that's the style of our work, and I just hope we will be able to sustain with this. And tomorrow I will be the happiest, and the entire Razorpay Rise team will be the happiest if the next few unicorns comes out of Razorpay Rise community when we'll go in the future after 3-4 years. So that's what we are aiming for.
Okay, that's a great thought to end that answer with, and I think the plan that you mentioned seems quite solid, and how you also mentioned how you're creating cohorts out of the already existing communities, and what you also mentioned, I think that's one of the things that we also do, that which is listening to what the startups want, listening to what
Yes.
the entrepreneurs are looking for, because
Yes.
while we can always have a top down approach, but a bottom up approach always works more, because you
100%.
provide solutions that the people are looking for. So great, and we do wish that Razorpay Rise comes up with more programs as well. Some that you're not able to tell right now, but we'll know about soon. One
100%.
question from this as well, what I want to understand, because of course we are a part of the government, right? Startup India, DPIIT, and we've been working with Razorpay also for a while, again with the ultimate objective to help startups as well.
Yeah.
So what in what way do you think that Razorpay Rise, or in fact even Razorpay, can collaborate more with the government, whether it's TPIT, Startup India, or the larger government? Because as you mentioned, we also give grants, we have schemes, whether it's seed fund, fund of funds. We also have our own mentorship portal. So how do you think both of us, sitting on two sides of the table, can work together, and what kind of support is, an organization like Razorpay Rise would look from for the government to ultimately help the startups?
I think concern, like, of course, keeping that in mind, that okay, how Razorpay is an influential company in the larger ecosystem, and how Startup India is, of course, considered as the epicenter of government of India for all the startup initiatives. So definitely there is a lot of synergy. And in my recent one of the recent conversation also with one of your fellow teammate, I was actually discussing this, that how many there are so many things we can actually do together. And I was rather surprised that why didn't we talk before, and we could have done so much in the past 1 year if we would have connected earlier. So definitely, because we the segment, the target segment is so similar, the kind of startups we are working with and the kind of startups Startup India is also trying to nurture and enable, the segment is very much similar. So as I just said, there is a lot of synergy. Where I think the problem comes, or rather the challenges comes, when we talk to our internal Razorpay Rise founders. I think uh, they know there are a lot of things what government is doing, but probably the visibility of those programs and the knowledge around those programs, that okay, which particular grant is applicable for which type of startup founder, and if I need to avail that grant, what is the process I have to follow. So probably that part should be ideally bridged with a possible partnership between Razorpay Rise and Startup India tomorrow, that okay, how we can provide and become that platform for all the startup founders to actually educate them and provide them the right information around all the government initiatives around startup ecosystem and startup building. So because generally, I know it's a very unpopular opinion, but uh, there is a some kind of misleading perception in people mind, that if something which government is doing might be not so great against a fancy VC funding, which might get them a lot of eyeballs. So that's a perception, and trust me, I've talked to founders, that is a perception, that they don't realize the value of these grants, they don't realize all the great things what government of India is currently doing. So probably because people really admire Razorpay and Razorpay's initiatives, so Razorpay can actually become the face, and we can try to solve it and bridge it while coming in a partnership. So I think that's how I look at it, that how we can together collaborate, how we can together host a lot of knowledge sessions tomorrow, how we can together create a lot of contents for startup ecosystem to read, educate, and make them understand what particular grant is targeted for what set of founders, and if you want to do it, how to very easily explain them how to avail that grant. So that is how I look at it. And of course, there are so many other ways we together can build a lot of common initiatives as well. For example, tomorrow, can Razorpay Rise founders directly access your mentorship platform? Can your startups utilize one of the initiative what Razorpay Rise is doing? Can we open that for them? And similar such cross collaborations and cross synergical, I think, initiative sharings. So I'm very sure that concerning, we are almost targeting the same group. Our focus is also very clear. So the good part is Startup India is also unconditional, and we are too. So I think that that makes it such a great collaboration to have, that because both of us want eventually the startups to grow in the larger ecosystem. And that's where I'm sure once we get into right collaboration, we'll be able to do a great we'll be able to create, I think, a very large level impact in the ecosystem.
Wonderful, Nipun, and that's something that I've, as a part of the ecosystem for the past few years. That's the same thing that I've also been hearing for a while. That the kind of programs that the government does, or the kind of grants that government has, the biggest pain point is that people are not aware of it in the way they should be. They're not aware of the processes. They're not aware of the the easiness of the processes, because a lot of people associated with complex processes, which it's not anymore. So completely on brand with that, and of course our teams are in touch and will be in touch to collaborate with you and to make it happen. And from that only, again, as government, our focus is a lot on, as you mentioned, that at Razorpay Rise, you're also looking for a lot of, building the next set of unicorns, essentially, right? And
Right.
our focus is also on making these set of unicorns more diverse than they are right now. While, of course, the Bangalore's, Bombay's, and Delhi's of the world will always be there at the top of these charts.
Yes.
The next set of unicorns will ideally come from the tier two, tier
Yes.
three cities
Yes.
and
Yes.
the rural areas, right? Um, just want to understand from the perspective of Razorpay Rise as well. Is there any specific focus on the tier two, tier three cities or startups which are doing more frugal innovation? And if no, how do you plan on doing that? Is that something that you want to incorporate in your vision as well?
Okay. Okay. So see, one, we totally realize the power of tier two, tier three cities. I think our own founders have been from. I think Harshil comes from Jaipur, and Shashank comes from a very small district in Bihar. So I think that's why I think that again that approach comes from top down. That how we never differentiate. First of all, that okay, we only want to focus on tier one cities, or we only want to focus on a set of very over smart startup founders. We are very neutral there. I think if I'm not wrong, I don't have the exact data in my hand right now, but I think close to 30% of our community already comes from non-metro cities, and uh, I think we have never even realized that while talking or working with them that okay they come from a different background other than the tier one city founders. So idea is all what matters. How confident you are, how clear are you in terms of what you are building, and we are very clear that okay we want to keep it not just sector agnostic but also a regional agnostic kind of a community where we will never differentiate that who is coming from where. Your idea is what actually matters to us, and your vision and your purpose is what actually matters for us. So I don't think so. I think rather anyone in the Razorpay and Razorpay Rise team would be happy that okay if we are enabled specifically that kind of a founder who possibly had no opportunities at all, because we all know that okay a founder from Bangalore definitely have a lot of opportunities. He can network, he can join all these evening sessions in Koramangala and HSR. He can easily reach out to a VC within the vicinity in 5-10 kilometers by just giving a call to his fellow friend or a fellow founder, against a person who might be building something, let's say in Guwahati, or someone who is building something in a small district in Bihar, or let's say a city like Agra. These all are upcoming cities, but probably they don't have opportunities as required in today's world. But the good thing is, let me tell you, because after COVID, a lot of things have turned virtual. I think that barrier somehow has reduced a lot for all these people. I know personally a founder who actually is building something very happily from his hometown, because he says there is no need for me to at all to move to an expensive and a crowded city like Bangalore, because that barrier is now gone, because now you can do anything or everything through virtual meetings. So I think that is a great change in the larger ecosystem which has recently come, and that has really helped all these people to actually avail all the benefits for even a program like Razorpay Rise, let's say. If virtual world was not available, I think Razorpay Rise and Razorpay Rise services to provide someone in Guwahati might not be possible. But today that is possible because everything is so smoothly possible to provide them virtually anywhere in the world. So I think the angle of virtual world, along with we being regional agnostic, is how Razorpay Rise today stands at. And I think that makes it all the more beautiful that everyone is there in the community from almost each and every state represent. There is a representative within Razorpay Rise today.
Okay, yes, that's great to know. In fact, I was also going to come to the same fact that COVID, the silver lining in COVID was that it made it easier for entrepreneurs and founders in the smaller regions to also connect to founders sitting in Silicon Valley when they really had to and when they really wanted to. So that's a wonderful thing that COVID has been able to do, and the virtual setup of everything has been able to do. And glad to see that Ways of the Rise is inclusive from that perspective as well. One last question, which is from the
Yes,
audience, and we have time
please.
for only one question for that as well, which is what advice would you give to a startup founder which is just starting up and wants to understand how to reach the so called unicorn status, and essentially what kind of innovations, what kind of cultures would they want to build in their own organizations to reach that particular stage in a few years? And of course, I'm sure you've answered this question multiple times, and yeah, this is a question that has come to us as well. Please go ahead.
Okay, I'll try to answer this one because that's a crux of the entire startup building, honestly. So I think if okay, this let me answer not in capacity of Razorpay Rise representative. Let me answer this in the capacity of me being an ex-entrepreneur. Um, I think okay, let me start. Okay, have a very clear idea on what you are building. Be it in terms of the audience you are targeting, be it in terms of niche you are targeting, be it in terms of what is your USP once you will enter in the market. So what are you creating, for whom you are creating, and what is that one thing which makes you different or which has a very different value proposition against any other competitor in the world. Then when it comes to propagate that idea to the right people, I think which I am a big believer of, be a great storyteller. I think storytelling comes in handy when you talk to your first few people you are hiring. Storytelling comes in handy when you will talk to investors. Storytelling comes in handy when you will talk to your customers. So be very clear. Have a very clear story that okay, if you are talking to your first customers, that okay, why you have built, for example, my ex company name Natini News. There has to be a very clear story around why I have built that and why I feel by using my product, your life will change from X to Y, and that should come out very clearly and with a very strong conviction. If I am not convinced about my product, what I am selling, then the customer will never ever be. So that storytelling becomes very important. I think I am a big believer of that, at least. So first is be very clear what you are building, for who you are building. Second is storytelling. Third is, I think, go slow. It's okay to go slow. Learn, adapt, collect feedbacks, and then reiterate. Sometimes people want to avail and they want success in few days, few months, but that's not how success comes. I think even Razorpay took 6 years to become a unicorn. And if you'll see and if you'll read the journey of Sashank and Harshal for the first 2 years, it was never easy. I think Razorpay was probably rejected by 100 plus banks in the initial days. So you have to understand that rejections will come, and you'll never have a smooth journey. There is no golden way to achieve success. So go slow, learn, collect feedbacks. It's okay if people are a little critical about your product. It's actually rather good that okay, people are critical about your product, because that is giving you a lot of feedbacks from the top level view, that okay, the things which you might have missed, but the other people are telling you to adopt and make changes in your product. So be open, go slow, and take things gradual. I'm very sure if you do these three things, generally it helps. Then apart from that, manage your cash expenses really well your initial days, I would say. Go very lean on operations. Probably spend only on things which directly contributes to your growth. Then plan your cash flow really well. Have a clear run rate in your mind, that okay, with current funds, what are the number of months you can sustain with. Try always and look out for alternate and diversified ways of getting funds. VC funding is not the only way. I have run my own startup bootstrap for 7 years, and till the time I was running it, because COVID was the main reason why I had to close it. But I never faced any challenges. So it's a very wrong perception, and I think a bubble in people's mind, that okay, you cannot survive without raising funds. Zerodha can do it, and Zoho can do it, then why can't you? So also understand that it's not a by default requirement to raise funds. It's a very short term game. If you are able to create a right revenue driven business model, you might not even need funds at all, because your customers will automatically start paying you, and that is the money you'll start using to enable and grow your business to the next level. So this is related to money. I have told you around storytelling. I have told you around understanding what you are building, for whom you are building. I think broad level, these are few suggestions. There are so many more, I'm very sure. One would be, I think the last would be the most important, would be very persistent, and I think have a very positive mindset, because the startup journey and the entrepreneurial journey will never be easy. It will never be easy. There has been no entrepreneur in the world, in the entire world, whose initial years were easy. So get used to of that fact, and understand the reality, and come in that reality check, that to get something you have never got, you have to do things you have never done. And if you enable yourself with this thought process, I'm very sure then if, with the right patience, with the right idea, with the right people around you who believe in your idea, some of your initial customers who trust in your idea and can become your promoters, and with the right knowledge. I think summing this all up can make your initial life very smooth. And still, and even after doing all of this, there is a 80% or 90% chance you may fail. So then also be prepared for it. So and it's okay if you fail, restart, again start doing all these things. We have just all seen 12th fail movie, and I think that so beautifully describes it's I think applying and studying for an IS exam and running a startup is almost the same life. So if you fail, restart again and then start doing all the things again. There will be a time you'll find success.
Thank you, Nipun. And those are some great advices, some lots of practical advices that you put into that answer. And very nicely summed up in terms of fundraising, in terms of persistence, in terms of resilience, and also being okay with failure, which are the part and parcel of being a new founder. And I'm sure everyone who's watching today is able to learn from your experiences as well. And thank you so much for coming in today. Thanks a lot for telling us about your journey, Razorpay Rise, and also more than anything, helping the people who are watching to understand what the journey looks like, and the background of the glamour of being a unicorn, of being a unicorn, and what it actually goes into it. I think it's very important for people to know that as well.
Yes.
Thanks a lot for coming in. Thanks a lot for taking out time on a Saturday afternoon for
No.
this. And for everyone who's watching, thanks a lot for tuning in. We will be back with the AMA session tomorrow at the same time on 8 years of Startup India innovations, infinite innovations. Thank you so much, Nipun.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.